Okay, there we go, Mike.
We all good now?
Oh, what a stress. Like, I don't know what's going on with live stuff. If somebody can explain to me how scheduling a live stream video works, that would be amazing. Because normally I just press normal live streaming, if that is the case, and it works absolutely fine. I put in a code and it didn't seem to want to work. So I don't actually know. Let me try and load this up and we'll see what's in it. This is going to be proper rubbish production value, so I apologise in advance on this. Right, watch on page. Okay, yay, another stream. Yo, okay, well at least this one's working. There are people here. So
definitely people here watching.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you can hear us, this is working fine. This is the normal way we do our live stream. We just chuck it up on YouTube. We don't schedule it. What we wanted to do was to try and schedule it in advance so that people would have more of a warning of when we're actually going to go live. And obviously that didn't work. So scheduling will definitely need to be looked into a little bit more. And everything's changed as well. Everything's changed, man. You've changed.
We've all changed.
We've all changed. Right, there we go. We'll go through who's in the chat in a moment as well.
Are people confirming that they can hear us, yeah?
Let's see. Hey. That's what we've got. We've got 16 people in the chat watching now.
Sweet.
Right. We'll give a few moments for people to arrive because obviously they're going to turn up and we'll have already gone through the roll call. There's already a few people here. Steve's put, hey guys, still got guys waiting on the other stream but left a message. That cutting mat's a lot cleaner than mine. It definitely is. I normally put a black piece of card over the top of it when I'm doing tutorials for painting. So this green sheet only ever gets, or matte only ever gets shown when I'm actually cutting things up.
Well, you are quite a clean freak though as well, aren't you? So
yeah, this is really bothering me. This like circular where there's been like a paint pot or something. Let's all look at a paint pot. That's great viewing. Right, people are here, so we're just going to go through. We've got Callum Rose, we've got Frost and Fist, we've got Funbug number 1. I've not seen you before. Welcome to the channel. We've got Ads Hintoa or ADZ Hintoa. Welcome to the channel. Again, I've not seen you before. Thank you for joining us. Steve Forrest, obviously, he's on the chat as always. Anders Olsen, ahoy ahoy. Welcome, Anders. Adrian Tollis, who said, nice cutting mat. Thank you, Adrian. Welcome to the channel. Jim Wilson. Hi, hey guys, how are we all doing tonight? We are doing absolutely fantastic, other than my shambles of trying to do a scheduled live stream. We'll try and fix it for next time. I'm going to have to read some more videos. I'm going to watch some more videos on how to do a scheduled stream.
Oh dear. Is this how tonight's chat's going to be, then?
No, we're going to get on to 8th edition in a moment. We have Madhead John. Welcome. Not seen you before. Welcome to the channel. Turrican, again, from the other night. I think you came on. Thank you for joining. Billy No Mates. Billy has loads of mates, but welcome. And we have Shock, who's put up peace fingers. So welcome, Shock. Thank you for joining. Oric Lovegod. Tried to hide, didn't you? But I found you. He's always got quality comments, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's left us some Q&A questions as well on the website. We asked on our premium video on the website, just as a catch-up, we asked everyone to leave us Q&A questions so that we can go through it at the end of this month or the start of next month and answer some of the questions that you've left for us. So you can leave them for individual members of the team or the entire Wargamer Online, and we'll answer them as a group. So Oric Lovegod has left us a bunch of questions, which is awesome. However, I think he did leave one saying that me and Pink, our game did not look like it was fun. We didn't know whether it was sarcastic or not, because me and Pink had a brilliant game, but maybe on camera it didn't look so great. Maybe because of the bullying that went all the way through it. I don't know, we'll see. We've got Sean Dewitt. First time on the Hangout, enjoying all your work so far. Thank you very much for joining the Hangout. I apologise again I'm going to keep apologising about having a scheduled live stream that didn't even go up properly. Even though the stream said it was healthy and it was working, it definitely was not working. Nurgling, yo lads, welcome Nurgling, thank you for joining. Jonathan Shaw, evening, welcome again. Nathan Anderson, we've got loads of people popping in. Red Cuffs. Oric Lovegod's put, I'll ask real questions next time. I haven't even... Do you know what? Phil hasn't given me any of the questions, and he said he's not going to. He's just going to give us the sheet of paper, and we're going to film. So any questions that you ask us... I mean, he could put anything on there. they could be pretty random, and we've got no time to think about it other than when we're reading them out. So they're going to be quite fun to do, I think. Red Cuffs has put, hi fellow geeks from Red Cuffs and his cat. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your cat for joining as well. It means a lot that we've got the feline race
community as well.
On board. Ryan Benfield, thank you for joining. We've not seen you before either. So we've got a whole bunch of people turning up for a shambles.
Well, right. Do you want to explain what normally goes on the Friday Hangout?
We're going to explain. So anybody who is new or hasn't seen these hobby Hangouts on a Friday before, what we normally do is, it's not like our Wednesday shows where we have a bunch of people on camera. It's just me with my cutting mat or my piece of black card, and I'll either be doing a bit of painting or a bit of cutting or a bit of sculpting, just some sort of hobby. And generally not much hobbying gets done because I'm talking to everybody in the chat. That doesn't matter because I appreciate everybody coming on and talking, which is the main thing. So I'm going to be getting on tonight with some Sigmar stuff. It's going to be Warhammer Quest, because I've realised the imminent restart of Warhammer 40,000. So I want to make sure that I try and get as much of this Warhammer Quest out of the way and built and primed, ready for me to start painting it. Because when the 40k paint train comes along, I'm going to have to jump on board and start making an army for that again. So yeah. I don't want to be distracted. I think there's a lot of people in the community that are all looking forward. There's a lot of people who still aren't happy with the changes. We're going to have to see what happens. But there's a lot of people jumping on the 40k train. So it's going to be quite exciting to see so many people again. And new faces as well. There's a lot. What I've noticed from this new 8th edition announcement that Games Workshop's done is the sheer amount of people that are returning to the hobby who haven't played for years.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it on a daily basis.
Well, that's the other thing. Is like with some of the rules that are coming, and there's been a lot of people saying it's going to make it so much easier for me to get into now, as well.
One sec, actually, I'm just going to put this underneath here, so it's not just my mat. Look at this, nice picture. Look at that. Yeah. Let's go through. There's more people in the chat. Kablams has joined us. Welcome, Kablams. Thank you for joining. And I think Kablams did something amazing, actually. He's set up like 2 or 3 premium accounts on our website just to support us, which is it's definitely helped. I mean, we've got support. Premium members is the one thing we get to keep on doing what we're doing. It allows us to keep pumping out content and working on new projects, and eventually get up to the point where we can get new people on board and focus a lot more on games that people want to see. But Kablams has taken that one step forwards and just, paid for multiple accounts so he can pay for extra premium subscriptions. So thank you for that, Kablams. It's much appreciated. We have Mr. Miniature. Welcome to the channel, Mr. Miniature. Angus Brain. I like that name, Angus Brain. Evening all. Welcome to the channel again. Dark Elf Dave. First time tuning in. Well, you picked the right army, Dave. Dark Elves are the greatest. Regardless of what they're going to get called.
I thought you said Orcs were the greatest the other day.
Orcs are currently the greatest. Oryx, because that's what I've got. But my army in 8th edition fantasy was always Dark Elves.
Yeah, well, you had the Cauldron as well, didn't you?
I loved it. It was such a horrible army, and I felt bad playing it. But you got so many...
you didn't. No, you didn't.
No, I felt bad for the other people. I didn't feel bad for myself playing it because the Cauldron and Witch Elves and just one nasty Death Star was brilliant to play. But I really felt sorry for people who brought a fluffy army because I just didn't play fluffy back then. I've changed.
Yeah, you changed quite a bit as far as like army lists and stuff now, haven't you?
Yeah, I've realised the game's about 2 people and not myself.
Yeah.
So that's that. We've got Kablams. I've tried scheduling myself, but unless you're using Hangouts to stream, it seems very unreliable. There we go then, because we do this whole thing where we hook up the cameras so that you can see what we're doing. That might be why scheduling didn't work the way that it should have done. So I'll look into it. I might make another YouTube channel just to test stuff so that it doesn't pop up and people join the channel to see a scheduled stream and then it doesn't actually show anything. I'll faff around with another channel instead. It's going to be called Phil's Beard, so that will be the channel if you want to subscribe to that.
I think everyone's going to be looking for that now.
If it's not up yet, it will be. Frost and Fists, that archer looks so... Yeah, I mean, look at it, it's beautiful. Phil has taken this model out of this set. This is the one model out of Warhammer Quest that I have not been able to do because Phil's robbed it before I even got a chance. Ads Hintoa says, I'm an AOS player, to be honest, even though new 40k is tempting. Definitely, there's a lot of people going that way, especially with the rules being similar but also different. It's going to be a lot easier to play games now, and it's going to be less of a an issue to get
Well,
involved.
that's the thing. It's going to open it up now for any Age of Sigmar players that are currently playing Age of Sigmar. It's if from what we've seen, there is bits of the rules that look like they're going to be very similar to Age of Sigmar. So
we're going to go through those in a moment as well.
Okay, well, I'll wait until we get to that.
Well, I'll just get down the chat a little bit, and then what we'll do is we'll do one of the topics. We'll get some of the chat from everybody who's joined us tonight and see what they think, and then we'll go back to another topic. And in between, I might get a chance to do some building. Maybe not. We'll see.
Well, I think I'm just going to be sat here playing my Sigmar model for the entire thing.
Sigmar Showdown, and I did.
Finally got it built.
I did my story for that. That was the first time I've ever done a backstory for a model, and I enjoyed coming up with some sort of thing for him. Right, we've got Fishy. Evening, welcome. We've not seen you on the channel. Thank you for joining us. Mark Potter. I wonder if that is the Mark Potter that we know. If it is, thank you very much for joining, Mark, and we're going to have to catch up with a game sometime soon. Maybe a different Mark Potter. There's many Mark Potters. But if it is the Mark Potter that we know, and we know what your dice rolls are like, you'll know if it's you.
Yeah.
Welcome. Dark Elf Dave says Dark Eldar, I should have said. Oh, Dark Eldar are cool, but not as cool as Dark Elves. What else have we got? Jay Aitken. I finally caught a live cast. Just got to log in during work. I apologise. We've left this one a little bit later because we were following off from the Chilling Wargamers, and we didn't want to conflict because they've joined our chats, we've joined theirs. We don't want to just put a chat up at 8 o'clock at the same time. So we chose 9 o'clock for that reason. Johnsonator, evening everybody. Thank you, Johnsonator. Thank you for the kind comments as well. It was nice reading those. When I woke up in the morning, I saw a lovely comment and I had a smile on my face for the rest of the day, so that was nice. There's so many people. I don't want to miss people though. That's the thing. Right, Ryan.
Yeah, this is the difficult thing when there is quite a few people. It's trying not to miss anyone out.
Yeah, because this is the point. You've joined a live chat. It's good to get everybody involved, which is the whole point. But there will be moments when we go through topics. Ryan Benfield, I was about to start Sigmar from 40k for some change, but I'm just going to wait for 8th edition. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing you could do. 8th edition, Age of Sigmar was... I played 8th edition Fantasy, loved it. Age of Sigmar came out, wasn't keen, but I love it now. It's my favourite game. And I haven't played much 40k because of it, because of Age of Sigmar being so good. Now that 40k 8th edition, I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time building an army and playing that. But I know I love Age of Sigmar, so I've got 2 games to pick from now.
Yep.
And they're very simple. Hopefully they're going to be very similar, so I won't need to keep remembering rules. Because you know what I'm like with remembering stuff.
Oh yeah, well this is the thing we always have when we play 40k is that our head's in the book more than it is actually getting to play the game. I don't know if that's the same for anyone that's watching the stream in the minute. If it is, just drop it down in the comments to see if you're the same sort of feel the same words. I'm struggling tonight. Feeling the same way.
Give us the percentage. Your percentage of reading books to playing games when you're actually meant to be just playing. Give us a percentage, because I think mine is probably 50-50 at least. Mark Potter has... Oh no, Auric Lovegod. No, we've got more. Vaughan Killian. Welcome, Vaughan Killian. I've not seen you before either. Auric Lovegod, I don't have 4 hours to play a blasted game of 40k. I do have an hour to play Age of Sigmar. This is true. But you may have maybe 2 hours to play 2 games. One of 40k and one of Age of Sigmar soon. Mark Potter, it is the Mark you know. My dice rolling has not improved at all. Well, that's great to know. I'll definitely have a game with you fairly soon then.
I can't believe it hasn't gone any better.
No. You'd think just because it's chance.
It is possibly the worst dice rolling I've ever seen.
Definitely. We've got Turrican. Could be a load of new Dark Elves coming, judging by previous rumour engines. Well, you know, I said to Phil that we were both going to go for the new Karajon Overlords, and Phil was really sneaky and just ordered them for himself and started saying, yeah, these are mine, you're not doing the Karajon Overlords. He did offer them to me, to be honest, but I said, elves or humans, whichever one comes out next, I'll be starting them. We have Jay Aitken saying it's 4 p.m. here in Ontario, Canada. Been watching for a bit, but I had no idea when it was actually live. Yeah, normally it's 8 o'clock British summertime or standard time, whatever it is, BST. But we just put it back an hour. And then 10 p.m. in Germany. So we've got Germany, we've got Canada. Where else is everyone from? How many figures do you need for an average game of AOS? However many you want. But if you're doing, we normally do 1,000-point matched play games. For my Oryx, I'm looking at around, you can do an elite army, which would be about, I don't know, 15. How many points are there? There are about 200 points for a unit of battle line. It's either 5 brutes or 10 hard boys or 3 gore grunters. All of the battle line for Iron Jaws are 180 points each, so it's quite easy for me to make an army because I've got the same point limits. So for me,
on the other hand, for me with the Skaven, I think it's 60 points for the battle line, and their units are 10. So with Skaven armies, you're normally going to end up with quite a few models.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot, but you can still do the elite army with the storm vermin. I choose my army depending on what I'm playing against now. So if I'm going up against a horde heavy army, I'll try and match it so that at least we have a very big epic battle. But if somebody takes a big monster, I'll bring the Maw Crusher, so that it's a balanced-ish game. Oh, we got so many people. Right, let's see what else we've got. Totally intentional. Yeah, Ryan Benfield saying when playing games like 4,000 point games, him and his group are always like, what does this do? And this X and Y, yeah. And when you've got so many different books to cross-reference, it becomes difficult to play, which is why I'm looking forward to the new changes personally. I'll tell you what, we're going to go straight onto that in a second. I won't be long. We've got a lot of people. Phil looks like a dwarf anyway, to be fair. He'll love that. We said that he would be a dwarf mechanic or like a siege thing. Phil's a siege thing.
Siege thing.
Billy No Mates is from Scotland. Richard Haring, greetings from Australia. Adrian's 6 a.m. 6 a.m. in Australia. We've got 2 people from Australia watching. Thank you for getting up and watching. Or not sleeping.
Or they are not sleeping, yeah.
Von Killian is from Idaho, USA. Anders is from Sweden. I love Sweden. I've got so many nice Swedish friends that I need to go and see. We have... Talking about Scale 75. Okay, right. We'll leave the chat for a moment. Ashley Perkins has just joined. Ashley, welcome. What have you missed? We've just been catching up with the chat. I've been apologising about the live stream, the scheduled stream not working and me having to make a new one. But we're getting onto the topics now. So we're going to start about 8th edition, the stuff that's been announced, because we've kind of been covering it loosely this week. We've done a couple of live shows. We're just going to go over the movement and the psychic changes and what we think, and we're going to get your feedback on what you think as well. And we're going to start with... You know what? Let's flip it. Let's start with the psychic changes, which we got today, because that's the one I'm most excited for myself. So I want to talk about that, if that's all right with you, Mike, and if it's all right with everybody watching. Fine. Right, let me drag this out. Oh dear me, what have I done?
Yeah, what have you done?
Is it still working? Yeah, it's still working. Hopefully, we'll see. Right, so we have the psychic changes. The main things that we've got from this is, rather than having at the start of the psychic phase you roll a dice and you see how many dice you get to play with to cast your spells, it was quite complicated sometimes if you had massive armies of psychers, and if you had small armies where you just had like one psyker, you would sometimes have far too many dice to do anything with. So it felt a little bit weird for me playing psychers.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that the community team was saying that there was armies where it'd be a lot of psychers in the army, but then only one psyker would be using all of them warp charges, which is one of the big changes now. Yeah,
because you had, you know, it makes sense when you've got people like Tiberius, that's his name, I forgot his name, the Ultramarine Librarian. Tigerius, maybe. I knew it was something Romanish. But he had like really good psychic abilities. It makes sense that he could cast as many spells as he wanted. Same with Eldrad, Ulthuan from the Eldar.
Yep.
It makes sense that he would be casting as many Magnus. You've got these big characters. But then you had these Chaos Sorcerers, which might have just been a cultist the day before, and it started casting, and they could suddenly cast as many spells as they want. So it didn't make sense narratively, and it didn't scale very well in the game. If you played a small game or a large game, it didn't work too well. So the change now is they're going to use the same system as Age of Sigmar, where you get 2 dice per spell. So you can only ever throw 2 dice at a spell, and each psyker will have a specified amount of spells that they can cast per turn, per phase. So you will now have people like Eldrad who might be able to cast 3 or 4 spells. However, he gets to choose from an entire lore of spells, so I don't think you're going to be rolling for the spells anymore. He might have 7 or 8 available. He can cast 3 or 4 of them, and you roll 2 for each spell to cast it, which makes it a lot simpler. If you're turning up for a game now, you're not rolling for what psychic spells you've got. You literally just go, right, I know I've got this set available. I know that I need to roll 2 dice per spell, and you can build your army around that a little bit better, I think, rather than having to settle on chance.
Have they said, as far as like the actual psychic abilities they have they said that will be on the each unit or model will have their own profile with them psychics on, or have they not already gone too much into that?
It's said that there's going to be a law of psychic powers per faction.
Okay.
So you may get craft worlds. They'll have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 laws available to them. You may just have 1. We don't know. We're going to have to see on that. However, it's going to be much easier. It's going to be less randomised, and you can build a bit more structure to your list around psychers. I think we're going to see a lot more psychers in 8th edition now.
Yeah.
And coupled with them not wanting to one-hit things, if you have a psychic monster like Magnus, I think he's going to be an absolute beast. So we'll see what happens with that. I do like the fact that you are rolling 2 dice per spell, and I do like the thing that they've put in for making it a change. So you do have Perils available still.
Yeah, that's still in there. They haven't gone into it as to whether there's still going to be the Perils table or not. Yeah.
I think it needs to be more brutal. I think if you Perils, it's got to be a double 1. I don't think they can choose anything else. If they choose a double anything else, I don't think it makes sense, because some of the spell that they made an example of was Smite, and that does D3 mortal wounds. We're going to get onto mortal wounds in a moment, but that does D3 mortal wounds to the nearest enemy unit within 18 inches. But if you cast it on higher than 10 or more, it does D6 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wanting to get the high roll. If you roll a double 6, they're not going to expect you to Perils on that, so I think it's going to be double 1s. Phil's wanting to join us. I think he's wanting to talk about Perils. He loves Perils in, because it doesn't do enough. You know, every time Phil Perils, he turns into like a Super Saiyan mode and starts killing everything. So that's interesting. I've got my pot quiet pencil. We'll go through the chat again in a minute. Right. Now my frames are saying it's something up with that as well. I don't know what's going on. It's going red. Phil's disrupting and he's not even joined yet. Now he's joined. Hello, Phil.
Hello.
Hello.
My stream just went red for a second, and I don't know why. It never does that. I was saying I'm blaming you before you even got in.
You would blame me.
Yeah, we're just talking about
always blame me.
Psychic changes. So 2 dice to cast a spell. We'll go on to Smite now, actually. So every Psyker, on top of knowing their own lore of psychic powers, every Psyker gets Smite. So it's only a 5 to cast on 2 dice. It does D3 mortal wounds, and it's got to be at the closest enemy model within 18 inches, which is quite interesting because we might see some tanky units. You might have some big beast at the front who just takes hits from magic powers. You've got your quiet pencil, but everything else is loud, Phil.
Yeah, well, what's going to also inform that in terms of unit positioning, isn't it, is how we allocate wounds in 40k. And has there been anything on that yet? I don't think there has at all, has there?
Yeah, are you carving your desk, by the way, Phil?
Yeah, am I not allowed to hobby Hangout? Is that what you're telling me?
Not if you're loud. Everyone's talking about Phil. Uncle Phil. Phil is cool. Hey, Phil. Yo, it's Phil. Oh, that was you.
Hello, everyone.
We have Ashley Perkins from Lancing. Is that Lancing or Lancashire? Wee Green Stunters from Scotland. Another one from Scotland. Welcome. Joshua Rivera, greetings from Anchorage, Alaska. I love Anchorage. I don't know if it's because I played Fallout and there was an expansion where they had Anchorage in it, and I had such fond memories of that game that I just like Anchorage. What else have we got? Jeff is 72. Hello, lads. Stumbled across the channel the other night. Really enjoying it. You guys seem remarkably normal. I don't know about that. Phil's got a massive beard.
And you've got a wonderful, beautiful face, Sam.
Yeah, that's a bit of an overstatement. I'm ugly. I'm like a troll.
Oh, dear.
Troll-la-la-la-la. What else have we got? 2 Scots were taking over. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going with this. Everyone's talking about your pencils, your soft pencils.
Yeah, I have to say I've only just dialed in, so I have missed your conversation so far because I was just chatting to the guys over on Chilling Wargaming for a few minutes before I came over. So
that's cool.
I've missed what you've discussed so far, but the psychic powers, my summary of them, super excited. That's it.
We've still got more to go. I'm just still getting through the chat. Total beard envy of Phil.
Okay.
Jonathan Shaw's put lol at normal. Yeah, we're definitely not normal. Remarkably normal. And then Phil. He's what normal used to look like. We're going to get some bullying from time to time. We expect it. Thank you again to everybody who has liked the video already. Again, we do this every time, but we always get nice comments and nice likes. There's not much bullying going around. It's nice. We're not throwing hate. This is a safe place. So thank you for making it
nice wargaming.
Nice wargaming chat. All right, so two dice per spell. You can cast as many spells as the character's allowed. Your lore is set by your faction, and we'll go on to mortal wounds now. So if you didn't play Age of Sigmar, you don't know what mortal wounds are. It basically is a wound that you don't need to hit. You don't need to wound. It depends on the ability, actually, doesn't it? Sometimes you do have to hit and wound.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that the enemy doesn't get armor saves or invulnerable saves, which is pretty... I don't know. I like it. The fact that they brought it into 40k. I do like it in Age of Sigmar. I think there are some games in Age of Sigmar that some armies that are overpowered in a way because of the amount of mortal wounds they can chuck out, because they are so powerful. Mortal wounds are such a big thing in Age of Sigmar that having it in 40k, I think we're going to see some lists which focus on psychic, monsters, and mortal wounds.
Yeah, if there's any big models in 40k that have the mortal wounds, and it's multiple mortal wounds that they do, like take Thankful for example in Age of Sigmar, it's 2d6 mortal wounds. That you're not rolling to hit.
Yeah.
You're not rolling to wound. You're just rolling those 2 dice, and that's how many mortal wounds you're going to take, and you're getting no save from that.
It's really nasty, and I think we're going to see that sort of thing in 40k. It's going to happen, especially on the stuff that they want to sell.
I was going to say we're definitely going to see it sort of, Primarch level and those kind of things, aren't we?
Yeah, your favourite character.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Maybe
character, Phil?
Which one?
Are you kidding me? You literally...
That was a joke.
Magnus!
Yeah, I was going to say, he actually did forget then. Like, the amount of times that you ring Phil and you'll be like, hey Phil, and he'll just shout Magnus at you rather than saying hey back.
I know, but I've been listening to Unremembered Empire on the drive home from work today, and I've fallen in love with...
Cares.
No, the lion. I just love his character. It was really, in fact, actually, yes, Kurz as well.
No spoilers though, but in that,
I'm not going to give any spoilers. But what an incredible book! It's just amazing.
In that, the story that Unremembered Empire. If you haven't listened to it or read it, pick it up. It's amazing. It's definitely worth reading or listening to. I listen to it because I can paint while I'm listening. But it's really,
4
really
Primarchs on the same planet at the same time. It's all going to kick off. It's great stuff.
We have some more chat. This is going really busy. Right, what else have we got then? Steve's put safe zone in. Yeah, it is a safe zone. That's definitely what this is. Auric Love God is a fan of Phil, and we are fan. We are all a fan of Auric Love God.
I'm a fan of Auric Love God. We are,
and everybody actually. It's nice to see so many people joining in on the chat, and new people, and there's a lot of guys and girls that have been with us from the start. It seems, I mean, it's only been 3 months since we started this YouTube journey, and it's nice to see so many people joining us every week just to chip in on the chat and give us their feedback and give us their ideas. The questions are going to be interesting. I think we're going to start having some really nice questions on the website, and I'll probably put that in the description. I'll put a link straight through to the page on our website where you can ask us questions for the next chats, and we'll start doing them as often as we can.
Sure
Thing. You told me to talk about the questions, Phil, because you were like, people don't use my forms that I made. And now people are using it. You're like, you don't care. You're like, yeah, whatever.
No, I love those forms. I just said I don't want you to see them until I collate them together. I've got to feel like I'm contributing, Sam. That's all I'm looking for, just a way to help.
So you're going to hand me a piece of paper and get me to read stuff, yeah? That's how you contribute.
Yeah, I might even email it to you. I'm not even sure I'll hand it to you.
Oh, wow, nice. Okay, so Lord Tattoo's joined us. Welcome.
Hey.
What else do we have? Krilda joined. Better late than never. Yes, it definitely is. Thank you for joining. And Sean Jewett, remember reading Unremembered Empire. Oh, reading Unremembered Empire at the moment. Dan Abnett at his usual best. Definitely, it's definitely one of my favourite.
Yeah.
I think the first Heretic was one of my other favourites, and there's a few actually. The Horus Heresy books, they're just worth reading.
Yeah.
Right, let's carry on. So we've done Psychic Phase. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in terms of Mortal Wounds or the Psychic Phase change? I think personally it's going to be another speeding up factor of the game, which is what we're seeing of the whole rules now. It's all going to become a lot simpler to play. However, it's not simple as in easy. It's going to become less complicated and less reading books and more playing games and knowing what your army can and can't do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to say Jack's reaction. So Jack's, he loves his demons, and of course he's grown up having to play against Eldar, so probably is in a really good position to comment on what he thought to the new psychics. And I have to say he's been a little bit hesitant about the changes that have come out. He's definitely been in that, well, we'll see what the game plays like, until I told him about Psychic Phase, and what I expected was the opposite. I expected that's just Age of Sigmar, blah 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 blah, and he's like, no, not at all. He went brilliant. That's one thing that's killed the game for me. Psychic Phase taking way too long, whole dice, boatloads of dice going everywhere.
Well, he likes the Psychic Phase purely because he plays demons, doesn't he? So he loves the Psychic Phase and summoning things.
Yeah, he loves all of that, but he didn't like the mechanic. He'd grown tired of the mechanic. You roll the d6, you pick up a bucket full of dice, then you spend 10 minutes debating, shall I put 3 or 4 dice into this? And all of that is a mechanic that slows the guys down. Now you pick up 2 dice, you look at what the thing's going to take to cast, and boom, you go for it. And you either get it or you don't. I mean, obviously Eldar will just pass everything on 2 up, otherwise it's just not fluffy.
You having a laugh?
And we talked a little bit, interestingly, opposite. I was taking him out to an extra maths lesson because he's so dedicated, and we were chatting in the car, of course, rather than about maths. We were talking about the mechanic for Perils, because Perils are still in the game, isn't it? And sorry if you've covered this. And we were kind of saying, should Perils still kick in when you pass, or should it be a double one when you fail? Talking about actually from a mechanic point of view, you can rationalize both, can't you? You can say you messed the psychic power up and therefore you've perilled, or you can say on a double 12, on the double 6, on the 12, you've created so much psychic energy, if you like, then you've perilled. And it's just the question of what felt nicer on the narrative. And Jack raised an interesting point. He said, yeah, but if you are not particularly a psychic race and you're needing to roll a 10, for instance, and I don't know whether there will be one that sits up at that level, but you never know.
There is.
And he was saying there's a narrow barrier then, isn't there, between success and potential failure. So maybe it does or doesn't. I don't know. We were kind of saying,
do you know what?
I think it'd work either way.
I like you coming on the chat, Phil, because it means I can actually do hobby because you talk for me instead. It's great.
It's all right. That's what I'm here for.
But Sam. That 10, that casting 10 or above, going back to the Age of Sigmar, my shaman, it needs a 10 or more to cast. And you're saying like the more simpler non-psychic races, like the orcs. I know they've got all the weird boys and things like that. They're brilliant at casting and stuff, but I see them as compared to Space Marines, they don't have as much knowledge of psychic powers and things like that. However, they could have a similar rule where you get so many of the boys together that it increases the power and increases the casting value. Well, it reduces the amount that you need. So they could do something like that where the casting value is high, but you have mechanics to reduce it.
Yeah, command points.
Oh yeah, and we talked about that on the earlier in the week. A command point to reduce one cast or whichever you go for. The other thing is when you're talking about Perils, I don't know if they're going to do it. In 8th edition Fantasy, you had irresistible casting. I can't remember the actual name for it, but it was casting with irresistible force, where if you rolled a double 6, the enemy couldn't stop it, and the spell went off, regardless. And if you rolled a double 1, you obviously just, implode. Right. Maybe they could do a similar thing for 40k.
So it was top hand tailed for danger, if you like.
Yeah.
Just
double 1
for your opponent. Yeah.
But you've only got 2 dice to roll. In 8th edition Fantasy, you could roll 6 or 7 dice, I think, and you could cast something that was absolutely horrific, and nobody could stop it because you rolled 2 6s, which meant it was unstoppable. So they could do it where it's just unstoppable, but you still only got 2 dice to cast it.
Yeah, I mean, from a number crunching point of view, of course, Perils, if it does only kick in on, say, a 6/6, which it always did in 7th edition, that old edition.
It's not old yet. It's current.
Then, when you were an Eldar player and you were a pro, absolutely wanting to make sure something to kick off, so you're throwing, 7 dice down. There was a big chance you were going to get a 6/6. I know Eldar have all sorts of ways of dealing with that. Whereas, like you've just said, Sam, it's 2 dice now, isn't it? I mean, it's quite an even playing field. Do you think you'll have variable perils? Some races peril more than others. Like you had the mechanic that if
you cast demonology,
demonology.
I don't know. I like the idea that a 1/1 is a perils, a 6/6 is a irresistible.
Let's just keep it simple. Keep it simple.
That's the idea. It speeds up the game. You're not worrying about it too much. Yeah. Let's go through the chat a little bit more actually before we go on to the next bit then, because we've got a lot of people chatting away, which is awesome. T. McCarthy, welcome to the chat. Not seen you before in here. Dan Abnett and I published similar books at the same time. Interesting.
Okay. Check that out.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely your mic as well, Phil. That's got the buzzy. It's got to be interference of some sort. It's not a big deal. I've kind of got over it now. When Phil's on, we know it's going to be a little bit buzzy, but we're used to that now.
I think it's my signal tonight. It wasn't great. I've been ruining Chilling Wargamers vibe as well with my buzzy noises and stuff. So
brilliant stuff.
I think it is me. Do you want me to go away again?
No, stay. I love it. I love having the beard on. Auric Love Gods, but I have said it before, but the closer the 40k is to Age of Sigmar, the more likely I will be to buy it. Crazy Hippo 99, welcome. I didn't think I saw you earlier. Thank you for joining. It's lowering the skill floor, not the skill ceiling, or that's how it sounded to me as a total noob. Yeah. Yeah, so it allows more people to get on board with the game. That's the one thing that I think I took from it. Because, yes, they may have a lot of people who like 40k currently as it is. However, how many people are actually starting 40k? How many new people walk into a Games Workshop and go, yeah, I think I could play 40k? Realistically, I think there's a lot of people walking into a shop going, this looks cool, I like the models, I like the background, but you're telling me I've got to read this big set of rules before I play? And they go, no, try Age of Sigmar, it's only 4 pages. And they go, okay, cool, I'll play that. It's lower, it's another barrier. Having so many rules in place, if you remove that barrier, there's more people who can get involved. Then they can up it to whichever level they want. You can play whichever play style you want. There's 3 different ways you can play. And you do what you want with the game after that.
I love that idea as well. It's lowering the sort of bottom rather than limiting the top, because I think that the point we were making. Someone dropped some great chat onto the Facebook group, didn't they? And we were chatting away and sort of saying, there's some games out there with very few rules, but they're so subtle in their complexity. Chess actually doesn't have that many rules. You've got the moves of each piece, and that's about it. Mancala, bean counting game, I think it's got 3 rules in total. Super complex. When actually you start playing it, you wouldn't think it's moving beans around little cups, but you can play aggressively, you can play defensively, you can play disruptively to break up your opponent's tactics.
Yeah,
there's 3 rules. So you go to 4 pages of rules, you go to 5 or 6 pages of rules, and then introduce the rules for each unit. This is not dumbing down, I don't think. I have to say, when I first saw Age of Sigmar, I thought this is an oversimplification. But we've had some incredibly good fun games that have been fun because of the pace, but entertaining because of the kind of the tactical, to and froing between each other. So I love it. Yeah, very excited.
That's good.
You may have gathered.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. There's a lot of people excited. There will be people who don't like it. A lot of people don't like change. We've been through the whole waterfall.
Still the wrong thing, Sam, but I love the fact you bring that up.
I just remember waterfall and management, and that's all I'm going to say from now. Whenever you start, let's hear from the waterfall.
That was about tacticals. That was about tactics. That was whether you could take a battle plan, a fully complete battle plan, into the game. And to a degree, there's a lot of players out there. When the rules are overlaid and complex like they are now, what you find is sort of those wonderful little Death Stars that essentially all the work has been done before you actually put them on the board, because you've designed your Death Star. And then all you've got to do when it comes to the actual game is maneuver it around in a pretty prescribed way and win the game. So that's what I was using for waterfall. You have your plan in hand before you go. The kind of agile stuff is more like Age of Sigmar, because you don't even know who's going to get first turn. You don't even know who's going to get second turn. You can't have a big long plan. you've got to work it out as you go along.
You've got to react.
So, yeah, and to me, that's what makes Sigmar exciting. It's what makes it fun, because crazy things happen sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you play, I played a lot of strategy games on PC, like Rome Total War and things like that. And a lot of the time, you generally play the same game over and over again. When it's so set out in a way that you know that spearmen beat cavalry and soldiers beat spearmen and that sort of thing, you've always got like the rock, paper, scissors style of game. And you'll have your cavalry on the flanks, so that you lure the enemy forces forwards, and then you can flank them with your cavalry and get them off guard, that sort of thing. And it just becomes, it's cool, it's tactics, but it's a bit boring after a while. You want some sort of reaction tactics. You want something a bit different. If we played the same game over and over again, it would be boring. You need it to be mixed up a little bit and have a little bit of chance in it. Anyway, let's keep going. So, as a demon player, this is from Geronimo 32509. As a demons player, I hate this current psychic phase. Have to use a dry eraser board to keep track of everything. Yeah, I mean, when I play Jack, who has his demons, I can't keep track of anything he's doing, and I just have to trust that everything he's doing is above board. And I know that there's certain things, he's like a wizard. He knows a lot of stuff. But there's other things where I know he gets wrong, but he'll just go, yeah, that seems right, and carry on going. But I can't keep track of what he's doing in his army, so I have to put all of the faith on him. I have to just hope that he's doing it right. And, he gets his little Post-it notes out, doesn't he? And he spends about 30 minutes prepping before the game to make sure he's got all of his rolls on the table. He's got his dice for his psychic powers sorted. It's a long-winded process before you even start playing.
Yeah.
So removing that's good.
I'm just seeing a great comment on the chat as well from Turrican that says having to remember 4 books worth of rules isn't skill. This argument of dumbing down is a fallacy. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It became who can remember their rules best to a degree. And that should be an element of the game. But no, actually, you know what? I'm going to take that away. That shouldn't be an element of the game. That's a barrier to all sorts of gamers, people who have, attention deficit disorder and those kind of things. They shouldn't be excluded from the game by a ridiculous rule set. So I'm going to get off the fence on that one and say, having the cards so you can go and I'm using this unit. I'm just going to quickly look at the card and see what that unit's capable of doing again. Then that's another barrier gone from the game, and that's more gamers playing 40k, which will make me a very happy bunny.
Yeah, remove the barriers and let everybody in.
People. Yeah.
Okay, we've got Hintoa talking about the Maw Crusher. Haven't moved into airbrushing. The Maw Crusher is quite a daunting model, actually. I'd say get your base coat down with your airbrush or your layers, brushing it on, or spray paint. Spray paint's really good for just doing really bright colours, just getting a base coat down quickly, and then just dry brush the hell out of it and chuck washes on it, and you'll be there in no time. But it's a big model.
Yeah, I mean, your yellow base coat could have been achieved with just a light dusting of a black undercoat, and then an overcoat of Avalon Sunset, and then just working washes, couldn't it? You talked on the group about the techniques you used. Yeah, that's a really effective look.
Easy base coat, dry brush and wash, and your job is done much easier. So we've got Turrican saying double one. Yeah, a double one should be Peril. Yeah, I'm just trying to. I've kept the chat at a certain point, and I'm scrolling down so that I don't miss stuff. So I apologise if you're saying stuff now. I will get to it. Jay Aitken saying I used to love when we'd go to the local GW for their annual auction backroom clean out, and they get everyone to wag. People in the mall were like, "What?" It's one way to get attention. People run in saying, "Are you all okay?" Yeah, we're just getting really cool, cheap stuff.
I was just chatting on Chilling Wargamers about what the old school games days used to be like, and open days they were called then. They used to just essentially walk into the factory and there'd be a bunch of cardboard boxes with pewter in. And there'd be a box that says 50p each, 10p each pound, and things like that. And you just rummage through parts, I always came away with like 18 sets of dragon's wings.
I'm looking forward to when people say, "Oh, remember 8th edition when that was launched in 40k? Remember how good of a change that was?"
Yeah.
I was there. Everyone will be like, "I was there when 8th edition launched." Glue's dried up. I'm just going to keep talking. Right. So we've got Underdog Painting joining. Welcome. We have Wargamer Viking out, boys. I can't say it the same as him. Welcome, Spud. Thank you for joining. What else do we have? I wonder if they will make enough books for 8th on release so it won't instant sell out. This is what I was wondering, because we've already said that we need every book, haven't we? As soon as they're released, we're going to need to get every single one of the books so that we can read through. We're going to do we'll go through every book in depth, I think, because it's something that you're definitely interested in, and I like reading books. All right, so we've got that. Then what else have we got? Yeah, I just caught up with Turrican's comment. This is still going down. It's fine. Yeah, everyone's chatting with each other, so that's fine. That's great. Tabletop War James has joined. Welcome, James. Strategy. So Anders Olsen, strategy is about making decisions. 40k at the moment is way too formalised. AOS is more skill-heavy game because of the uncertainties. You constantly have to weigh risks and take chances. Yeah, you do, and sometimes those chances just dramatically fail for you, but that's part of the game, and you'll learn. Rachel, oh no, I don't want to spoil stuff. Rachel played a game against me with her Seraphon, and she took a chance with one of the units, and you watch the video, you can see how it turned out. But it was one of those things where you either don't try it and you keep your model alive, or you try something and you don't. You know, you've just got to give things a chance sometimes, and it's a game. See what happens. John Caputo. Finally caught you guys live. Thank you for joining, John. Oh, Caputo was a character out of Orange is the New Black that me and Rachel watched. That's where I remember the name from. I was thinking I know that name. Right, let's get on to the movement phase then, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Phil, he's muted himself. I can tell when he's gone because it's so quiet. And he's back.
I'm working on the Plasma Obliterator, and it is a mammoth modelling mayhem of fun.
Oh, I'm sorry. John Caputo's just said I hate that show. It ruined my name. Go on then. Sorry, John. I definitely
don't go.
Definitely didn't recognise it from that show. I hate that show. I don't know why I even watched it. Rachel forced me to watch it.
It's rubbish.
Auric Love God is saying I was pretty lucky in that game. I don't know. I think I was just blessed. Lucky feels like I didn't work for it, but Gork and Mork look down on certain people. So you're building your Plasma Obliterator, Phil?
Yes, and it's a hell of a kit. I mean, it's obviously, I think it would constitute as an old kit now. Here's a question. GW have said that every Games Workshop model will get rules on day one. Mm-hmm. Do you think they've remembered the Plasma Obliterator?
Every model that they currently sell, I think. So they did go back on... Well, saying that, Age of Sigmar released... When they got released, they had a backlog of models from years ago, and I'm talking like 5 to 10 years, where they had things like Wood Elf Chariots. I keep going back to that because I can't even remember Wood Elf Chariots. And even though they said, you're going to be able to use all of your models still, it's not a problem. They chucked things in like the Wood Elf Chariot. So there is a chance that you might have rules for the gun. There is a chance that you won't. So I would just hope and see what happens. They've covered themselves if they don't make rules. However, they might put it in as well.
It's a nice kit. It's not an easy kit to build. No. It's taking some gentle persuasion to go together, but it's a good kit. So that's why it's noisy, because I am having to do a bit of hack and slay on this one. So that's why I keep muting. Apologies.
T. McCarthy's just said, I just discovered the It Crowd. Awesome UK show. I'm in the States. We always wondered why such great UK shows only last 3 to 4 seasons. I never watched it until a few months ago, and I absolutely love that show as well. We're not going to talk about too many shows, though, because Phil will tell me off. And I like this. J. Aitkins put, luck is putting in the work to put yourself in a position to take advantage of a presented opportunity. I like that. That's exactly what I do. Definitely don't just pray to the Gork and Mork and all the other gods. Movement phase. Right, so 40k movement phase. We have now had the update that there is going to be individual movement values for each unit. So you're going to have Eldar moving faster, Terminators moving slower. It's going to be on an individual basis. And, when we're going with the simplicity of the game, at first you're thinking, well, I've got to learn more movement values. You don't just have a flat 6-inch movement if you're on foot, and, you can go up to 12 or 24 or whatever if you're in a vehicle or a skimmer. Sometimes, when I first think about trying to simplify the game, putting in individual unit movement seems like it's a backward step. But then from playing it like that, it's brilliant. It's much more narrative based, and you feel like when you've got a Terminator, yes, they're big and bulky and strong, and they can do amazing things in combat, but you've got to get them there. You then need to definitely get your transports and hope that you can get up the table a little bit more, and it just makes it a lot more thematic, I think, for me.
How much slower do you think that the Terminators are going to be?
4 inches, I reckon.
Did when they did the profiles the other day, did they have Terminators on the profiles?
I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
they did.
Okay, what are they movement wise then?
It was a 4-inch for the Terminators, but
go.
there was that interesting line, wasn't there? They'll be slower but indomitable. Oh my goodness, I can't say that tonight.
They're going to be tough to kill.
I think that's also maybe they're not slowed by difficult terrain or something like that. Do you think difficult terrain will still exist? We have to just move up and over terrain like you do with...
That's another thing, actually. They're talking about war zones tomorrow, so we're probably going to hear about that. But one thing I did like, again, with the Age of Sigmar was the removal of... So you've got your special rules for terrain pieces, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which can do dramatic things, so walking through...
5 inches, I'm getting told off. I'm sure I read 4, but sorry.
There you go, then.
5 and 6 for Marines. Yes, you're right.
Cataphracti being 4, maybe. Tartarus 6. Yeah, that's the thing. He's going to see all sorts of different stuff. Tabletop War James is saying, did you see that invulnerable saves are still in? Yes, they are, but mortal wounds remove that. So we're going to see how invulnerable saves work. I think it might be a save after a save. It could be an ability where whoever has an invulnerable save, it will say in the ability invulnerable or something like that, or an ability which is the equivalent.
I have just worked something out, though. If ever we're not quite sure whether the chat's still working, I just need to say something that's incorrect. And then we get a whole bunch of updates. So thank you to everybody. Torkin, Billy, Jonathan, Jay Atkins, Joshua, Steve, Grace here. Jonathan.
They do love you, Phil, but they're quick to tell you when you're wrong, which I do like.
Well, just like you, Sam. Just like you.
Yes, this is true. It must be nice to be loved.
You're a lovely man.
What were we talking about?
Let's have a look at this.
Mike, what
we were moving on to...
You were talking about movement, but I was saying something.
Difficult terrain.
That was it, difficult terrain. So, there you go. I knew Mike was listening to me. So in Age of Sigmar, you have these things where you move through terrain and you may die if you roll a 1. So it's like dangerous terrain, but it's on the entire piece, and it could be on any piece of scenery that you've got. The other thing is, in Age of Sigmar, you get a cover save of +1 if you're stood, if the unit is in the scenery. Whether they're going to do the same thing for 40k, where you have to be in the foot of a ruin to get a additional bonus to your save, I'm not sure. Or whether they're going to do it where it is at the moment, where you say if you're behind a certain piece of scenery, you get a 4-up save, or +2 or +1 to your save. We'll see what happens tomorrow, I think, on that.
Yeah.
How would you like it to go?
Definitely, I think they've got save modifier without a doubt.
Yeah,
it just makes life easier. Because again, it brings everything central to the unit you're fielding. Everything resolves around that rather than this central rule set that you have to thumb your way through for ages and ages. If you know your units, so Terminators have a +2 save, and if they, that's actually a bad example because I don't think they're going to give people. Age of Sigmar, can you have a 1-up save?
No, 1 is always a fail. I just wanted to say something here, actually. If anybody's looking at the stream, look at this model. I've just clipped off all the parts from the sprue.
Right.
And I've got this shoulder pad left, I've got a little hammer, and I've got this little Griffhound thing. However, what is that massive gap on his back when you turn him on his side? I understand that from the front you can't see that. But he doesn't have a back.
Have you missed something, Sam?
No, I've got the sprue. It's let me find it. This is where I find it on the sprue. So I've cut out 2 models, but these are the 2 sprues that I've got left. There's nothing on there at all. You're missing a piece. Oh, great. This was in a box of... Chase has put, it's that shoulder. Yeah, let's see if I can... just squeeze that.
Well, I'm glad you just... Let's all stop and find Sam's piece for his model.
No, I've just cut it. These were full sprues from what I saw on there, so there's nothing else in the box. So you're incomplete, Mr. Warrior Priest. That's a shame. The sprue will be on the floor, I bet. No.
There's a back butt plate that you're missing.
Oh, dearie me. Never mind.
Don't worry about it. Geronimo says, terrible model, destroy it. So
I like this dude. I quite like him. And in the rules for Warhammer Quest, he heals your party, so you need a healer. You've got to have a healer. Maybe he's wearing a corset. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to chuck a big chunk of green stuff in the back of there, and that'll fix it. Whatever.
Excellent.
It's a back plate, not a shoulder plate. Green stuff it, Callum Rose has said, yeah. He's just extra lean. He's super lean.
So, People on the chat, what do we want to see with movement? Do we want to see... well, I know we kind of talked about save from terrain. What do we want to see from terrain in terms of affecting movement? Would you, guys and girls, still want to see a whole bunch of rules around terrain, so difficult terrain, etc., slowing you down? Or would you like the Sigmar approach where it has an impact on the game, but in many it's either a boon or a negative modifier in some way, isn't it? Is that right, Sam?
I'm just reading the chat about my model. Someone's saying it's just the cape was flush to the model, and I'm looking, and the top of it is pretty flush. There's no lines now in between that, and I've used plastic glue because I listened to you for the first time instead of using super glue, Phil. I've used plastic glue, and it's now welded it together, so I can't snap it off like I would normally do.
You know, I'd never have guessed that somehow this would end up being my fault.
It's your fault.
Yeah, cheers.
Right, let's just leave him for a minute. Dark Elf Dave, I'm very happy to see individual movement stats. Not sure about losing initiative. Oh, you put the other bit on first under the cape. Yeah, I don't know where the other bit is. And it has been a while now. You saw me stick the cape on the back of here, and then I went through the chat, and then we've been talking, and now it's properly welded. This is the downside to plastic glue.
You may have missed a part, Sam. I think you've missed a part.
You know what? I've
That's
got about
obviously
30
not a
models
whole bunch. I would say difficult and impassable. One to halve it, the other that prevents it, so you can't go through certain terrain, and then the other one just slows your movement down. That makes sense. Sigmar-like terrain coming from that was Jay Atkins.
The part on the right, far right. Is he talking about this bit here? oh, you Turrican got it.
I like how there's like two shows going on here. This the Sam going right. It's the part on the right. Can anybody? Why don't you start waving your camera around your room and see if people can spot it on the floor or something like that?
Did you read the manual?
It's over there.
What's a manual?
By the mouse. It's by the...
This is where I'm now going to jam it into the back of here. I was just thinking it's fine. He's missing a back. I thought this was a shoulder pad, but it's not. It's his butt plate. Yeah, I didn't think I'd need a manual for an individual model, but obviously it's me.
Chase made the same mistake as you, Sam, and he simply just forced the cape off. So just
no, I'm not forced it off. I've lifted. Oh, beautiful! Thank you, everyone.
Vehicles. Back to the question.
Yeah,
Ryan wonders what they're going to do with vehicles in difficult terrain. Remobilization. That's a good point. Are we going to lose that entire mechanic, do you think? Vehicles no longer immobilized, or are we going to see that in terms of damage? So when we talk about them losing wounds, that as they scale down, like in Sigmar, their speed will slow down as well. We're going to see probably vehicles are going to have maybe the most variable stat line, aren't they? Maybe. And we'll only really see that when we see the special rules, because whilst they release the stat line for the Dreadnought, you only add the top line. Although saying that, of course, there's no asterisks in the Dreadnought at all, is it? So if we were going for the Sigmar layout, you would see, say, movement with an asterisk, where you'd then have to refer to the rules below, wouldn't you, in Sigmar, to say, okay, at full wounds it's movement 6, at half wounds it's movement 5, and at 0 to 2 wounds it goes down to movement 4 or 0. But
I just want to say
unless,
thank
of
you
course,
again.
Games Workshop cunningly avoid using the asterisk to hint that that's there, so they just move the main stat up. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, it's all important.
They're keeping us guessing.
It's all important, but more importantly, thank you everyone for helping me with my model.
Why did you find it, Sam?
Yeah, everyone was saying it right. I was just wrong. Chase was right. Turrican was right. It was brilliant. Phil, tell Sam off for not thanking Chase. He won't listen, but it'll be funny. Tell
Sam, you should thank Chase.
Thank you, Chase. I did just say thank you before I even read that comment, actually. So
maybe he was saying I won't listen to you, and therefore just tell you to thank him anyway.
Yeah.
I would like to see more rules than AOS.
Cover rules.
Sam, let's talk about your part a bit more. Are we all right with your part?
Yeah. I'm just wondering about this hammer. Where this second hammer goes. We'll leave it. Let's just get on with the chat, because people don't want to see me building a model. This is why I give my models to you, like the big tanks and things from Forge World. I need to drop off a bunch of word bearer stuff actually for you to build for me.
Okay, no problem.
No, I'm joking. I'm going to give it a go.
If I can build this plasma obliterator, I think I can actually build anything.
I gave my
Maybe that's
plasma
what we should do,
obliterator away. You know, little Henry. He's not little anymore. He's grown up now.
No,
but Henry, as he did, like sat at the side of me while I opened boxes and was like, "Can I have that? Can I have that? Can I have that?" And I was like, "Yeah, no worries, you can have that." So he had the entire base of that plasma obliterator, and I just took the gun and I put it on a Bane blade so I could make a tank of some sort. I can't remember what it was. It was to use in the Horus Heresy. So I took a limited edition turret and stuck it to a Bane blade.
Yeah, it was basically hobby crime taking place in front of me.
But it looked really good in the end. I was chuffed with it. And
it looked amazing. It looks amazing, yeah.
I sold that army. I was quite devastated. Right, so the rest of the movement phase. So what have we gone through? Faster and slower movements. Can run. Have we gone over that? You can run now, but it's in the movement phase.
No, we haven't covered that yet.
So it's called advancing now. And I read it out and I was talking to Mike and I was like, oh, you can advance. What's advance? And then I didn't read the bit before it. So advancing is now your run move. Same as Age of Sigmar, you do it in the movement phase. You roll an extra dice and you add that to your movement. So pretty basic stuff, but it is a change.
That's everything that can do that, though, vehicles included.
Yes.
Yeah, which is why we've got a lovely generic term now called advance, rather than have, vehicles that do or don't run, and then rules associated to running and saying, is that a run move or not? I know it was fairly straightforward, but it confused a lot of people. So you either advance or you don't advance. Mm-hmm. Love it.
Turrican said he wants to see me assemble a Celestin Prime.
No, you don't. No, you really, really don't. It'd be like a 14-hour chat.
I cut my finger yesterday when I was carving a tiny little bit of scenery. This is what happens. I'm a danger to everybody when I'm building. I'm not the greatest. You know what? I love converting things. And my Aegis, what was that? Sigmar Showdown model, chopping that up and making a conversion and green stuff and stuff together. But when it comes to building a model properly, I can't do it because I don't read instructions and I just stick things together. And when it goes wrong, I just chop a bit off and then
usually your fingers.
Jimmy, normally my fingers. Wasn't that the tank with the command deck at the back, Sam? Yes, it was. So the big eagles that are down the back of the
obliterator.
Yeah,
that formed the back of the tank. Yeah, you used more or less the top of the obliterator as the turret, but you laid the gun on its side, didn't you? And it just looked amazing. Yeah,
it was really nice. I loved it. It was for the Imperial Fist army that I was doing. So the giant eagle wings and stuff looked pretty decent for it, and it was nice to go with the yellow and gold.
I'm just going to catch up on the chat a bit, Sam, while you either sever a finger, try to super glue it back together.
Do you want to do that while I go and let the dog out? Because Rachel's gone out tonight. She's helping out at university with some stuff. And
sure.
The dog's downstairs crying. There's a few people going because they've got to head off from work and things. And one person, I think, just said, I hope you're still on when I come back. I don't know if we will be.
If Sam's building, there's a good chance.
I could do
Sam, you go sort
24-hour stream. I'm going to go sort K-Dog. I'll be right back.
Okay, so let's just go back through some of this chat. This must be weird. We're just going to stare at Sam's desk, aren't we, while we do this? But this is, for those people joining, this is Friday Night Hobby Hangout, which is basically usually hosted by Sam, and a bunch of us just come along and join in. And it was really just quite an informal chat where we just stick models together. So I'm working on a plasma obliterator. Sam's ruining some model on his desk. Mike, what are you doing?
I'm on my Sigmar Showdown model. Finally getting some paint on it.
You're on your Sigmar Showdown model, so we hashtag Sigmar Showdown for anyone looking on that. So I'm just want to do that to explain all those people who've joined recently. Amongst all of that, we'll chew the cud on where the hobby's at, as well as, various things. So as you can guess, 8th, it's on all of our minds, and we've been just going through kind of a recap of the weekly changes. So there we are. I've done a catch up, and now I'm going to quickly go down the questions. And that's the question: what would we like to see in terms of how terrain impacts the game, in particular in relation to the movement that came out earlier this week? So what have we got? We've got Kablam saying he would like to see more cover rules. There was a great question from Ryan, sort of saying, wonder what will happen in terms of immobilization with vehicles. Will they still immobilize? Go on, Sam, ram it up there. I think that was someone giving you advice to stick your model back together. Goblins are great. Absolutely, goblins are always great, and let's hope they're even greater when it comes to Warhammer 8th edition. Tanks might work like monsters do in AOS, so we're seeing that I'm assuming, Steve, you're referring to as they take wounds, they'll be less effective. I think they've pretty much stated that. The question is what's going to be affected, how many shots you can make, because obviously what used to happen is you could shoot a weapon off a tank. So Do, for instance, you have a Lehman Russ, and if you take 3 wounds, the spontoons can no longer fire. In which case,
Spontoons? What's a spontoon?
The guns on the side, Sam.
Oh, spontoons. I was wondering what a spontoon was.
Did I say spontoon?
Yeah. What is a spontoon?
Spontons. Thank you. Spontoon. That's like the guns on the side of a marine. So
there you go.
So yes, how would that work if you've got variable loadout for you to then lose weapons? So you've got to think about maybe that mechanic affecting the primary stat lines. So it's going to affect its ability to shoot. It's going to affect its ability to move. And I think that maybe, I mean, it's interesting to see vehicles with leadership. Maybe it will also affect its save. So as you're knocking armor plates off, the situation gets worse. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? But I think we'll see the core stats being affected. Maybe. Unless there's vehicles out there which you can't really change around much. What else have we got here? Phil, tell Sam off. I think I've done that. Sam, you're a bad man. Don't forget to thank Chase. And cover for vehicles needs to change. They shouldn't benefit from small cover. That's a good point, actually. They did seem to get off really lightly with smaller cover, didn't they? You know, and considering they were moving. I think you would need more cover due to the amount the game has. That happens in the shooting phase. Very good point. It looks like shooting is going to be quite interesting. You're certainly going to see this where we've seen that first rank fire, second rank fire, and the idea of falling back out of combat to expose the enemy unit to shooting again. You're right. We're going to see some interesting stuff go off with that.
I just realised watching me build is like it's like a giant jigsaw puzzle with a monkey trying to figure it out. Because I just realised what it must look like because I mean, you could just keep talking about comments over and over again. You could break for a second and we could talk about me building models like a monkey.
You wanted a break while you let the dog out, didn't you, Sam?
Oh, the dog's gone. She didn't even go outside. What? She just wanted some more water. She hasn't legged it. She wanted some more water. I gave her a full bowl of water before I came upstairs, and then she just obviously drank it all and then just whined. That looks quite cool. It's a nice model, that. One person just said something.
Well, I'd almost caught up on the chats, but you want to just leave the chats where they are. Maybe some people should say, do they want me to continue reading the chats and commenting on it, or do we want to sit in silence and watch Sam chop his miniature?
Not in silence. Just ask for advice on how to build my models. This is why you won't get how to build a model videos from me, because it's not worth it. You know, if there's something where I go, don't build it like this because I made a mistake, you might get a video. It might be a quick tip on not doing something drastically wrong, but that's it. I'm just wanting to read, as Brad Lever, I have a lot of painting to do, need at least 4 more hours. 4 more hours of this chat, of me building stuff horrendously, or 4 more hours of Phil reading out comments?
Let's have Team Phil or Team Sam. Let's see what we... Oh, we're not going to do that. Don't do that, because Sam will win.
No,
Sam will win.
I say no, he won't. I'm talking about myself in the third person.
I'll just be here. I'll just be here in the corner, guys.
Bat Rep Mike. It's all about Bat Rep Mike. Cool smoking Bat Rep Mike.
There's a few people going either to put their little ones to bed or because they've got to go off to work. So, and unfortunately, Funbug number 1 probably gone by now, but goodbye now. Oh. And I saw somebody else saying they might have to pop their little ones up to bed, I think. So good night.
Okay.
Right. I wonder how they'll deal with Astra Militarium orders.
Can I talk about the last bit of movement? So we're actually talking about stuff. You know, the last part.
That's what we were saying. Is how would scenery affect it?
No. Have we talked about falling back?
How would damage affect it?
Because falling back is such a big thing that
I was just about to. You interrupted me because you wanted to talk
sorry, I didn't realise this was the Phil show.
Talking about
right. This is the Phil show, everybody. I'm going to get back to building models badly. Phil, tell us about the falling back in the movement phase.
No, Sam, go for it. I'm going to stick some plasma obliterator together. I'm going to finish my plasma obliterator.
Hashtag Team Phil show. All right, come on, Phil. What is falling back in 40k all about?
Well, as we were saying, you are going to be able to retreat from combat. And I'm not sure, they've not mentioned any penalty for that yet, have they? Other than you can't do anything else that turn. But is there a small chance of just getting smashed as you retreat back from combat? Maybe that would be interesting. But if you do retreat, thank you, Wee Green Stunties, Team Phil. Team Rachel, yeah, good point. That's why we made it the MD. So if you do retreat back from combat, you of course expose the enemy unit to your shooting phase, and that's the interesting bit, isn't it? Because that's where suddenly the game, in one fell swoop of a smallish rule, suddenly becomes quite different. Because, you know, how many times have we heard of tar pits and bogging a unit down one way or the other? These are the days of tar pitting to protect yourself from a big beastie is gone to a degree, and vice versa. Hiding inside a combat has gone. People are going to be able to run away from you, and you are going to be able to shoot that unit, or that unit's going to be exposed to shooting. So that's really interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to that, because now, as an Eldar player, I can see a role for striking scorpions. I can see a role for banshees. I can see a role for putting units up front to kind of delay the advance, but then quickly, you know, leap backwards and then open up the gun lines of the wonderful Eldar.
What do you think, Mike?
Well,
Jump in there quickly before.
It's going to be interesting with the falling back thing. Like, say, for instance, if it's a gun line for guard and something's managed to get across the board into combat with them, and obviously they're not going to last very long in combat, if they can then fall back and then there's the rest of the gun line then just to open fire on that unit that's out in the open now. So I think it's quite a good thing.
I think the other thing is as well, you were talking about tar pits, and I think you're still going to get tar pits. You're going to get stuff that will go into a combat to hold them up for a turn, maybe 2 turns, because they wouldn't want to risk falling back and not be doing anything. And I've done this in Age of Sigmar already, where you'll charge something into a unit that you know is just going to die, but you've done it to either capture an objective or charge into a more vital combat that you need to win.
Yeah, but if you've got a balanced list and someone tries to tar pit you, you just retreat away from them. Okay, that unit can't do anything for a turn, but if you've got enough shooting, then you can wipe that unit out of the way.
But if you're not bothered about, that's what I'm saying. If I charge a unit of 20 conscripts into one of your big Death Stars, yeah? Say you've made a Death Star, if it's still a thing. Yep. I charge my tar pit unit into your Death Star. You've got a choice then of retreating and not doing anything for that turn, in which case you're probably going to get shot at in my next turn. Or you stay in combat and you just, you kill all of the stuff. So you have to make the choice then of whether you're going to fall out or whether you're going to fall back or whether you're going to just mow through that tar pit unit. You have to make the choice at that point. So sometimes I think units like that will still force a choice on an opponent, and it's not always going to be right or wrong. Depending on how you follow that up with the rest of your army, it could be a game-winning move.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as I'm just going to fall back so that I can shoot that unit. You might sacrifice. You might even take stuff in your lists that are there just to block something for a turn. Like tanky units. Like I was saying with that, this change to psychic phase. One of the rules for Smite is you have to target the closest enemy model within 18 inches. You don't get a choice. So if you've got a big bulky tar pit unit in front of your key strategy winning unit, you just keep that at the front so that takes hits from spells like that. I just think it's more than just retreating and shooting, that's all. And I think once you start playing games in 8th edition, you'll realise how intricate the system will be. Reading it on paper is one thing, but actually playing it and realising what you can do with the rules afterwards is the next step. And I think a lot of people will enjoy that. We have more content, more comments. Can we listen to Phil reading the Manual of Change Management? That's got my vote. Yes. You'd love to do that, wouldn't you, Phil?
I've got a few manuals. You'll have to let me specifically know which one, or do you want me to pick my favourite one?
Not now. Maybe we could do a separate chat. It's going to be a rough cut. Phil talking about management is great. We were thinking about doing background and lore videos on the stuff that hasn't necessarily been done, or our take on it to a point. But I think it's just going to be Phil doing it because we can just listen to Phil for hours. And they're quite easy for you to do, aren't it? You just set up in front of the camera, start writing down on pieces of paper and just reading out some background story or narrative campaign rules. Campaign fluff. It'd be good. I'd listen to it.
I could do.
It's possible, so from Geronimo, it's possible that consolidating into combat is back, and falling back would just open up an allied unit for being charged. It could be another thing. Adrian Tollis has put Team Beard. Never going to win that. Corin Sules. Loving all the content. Hey guys, thank you for watching our content. This is why we do it. And Frost and Fist has put, yay, shooting armies sound like they're still on top. This is what I mean. I think on paper, maybe you just say, yeah, you can shoot, but I think it's going to be balanced. I think there's going to be really good changes for combat armies coming soon.
Yeah, I don't forget that the charge gives you the initiative, so you can be hitting a super agile unit with a super tough unit and just munching them away before they can strike back. So I think we need to know more about combat before we know whether this version favors one type of army or another at this stage.
Definitely.
Geronimo's point about falling back and opening the unit up to being charged, of course, that brings that back in, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because they will lose the initiative then on the combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff.
Al Woods just joined us. Hi, Al. We're getting towards the end now. I think we're going to close up soon. We'll do our final notes. But thank you for joining. You can always watch the beginning of it again. Sean Dewitt's put, looking forward to seeing Sean Gately from Blue Table Painting on the show soon. Yeah, we're all excited. It's going to be this Sunday at 10 o'clock BST time. So 10 o'clock UK time. And it's going to be exciting because we've watched Sean, me and Rachel in particular, we've watched Blue Table Painting updates for many years now. And it's going to be really great to get him on the show and have a chat to him and to get his opinion on 8th edition changes and how it might affect the commission side of wargaming as well as his actual personal take on gaming. Kablam's retreating to charge in another unit will work well, especially if you need the first unit to take objectives. Again, it's tactics based. It's not as simple as just dumbing down the rules and rolling dice, because that's not the game.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to say from Team McCarthy, I was just about to start with kill teams because it seemed a cheaper way to get into this. Will 8th edition affect that in any way? I know almost zero about 40k. What have you read about this so far? Because you've read the Armageddon stuff. Does that follow kill team rules or is that completely different?
I mean, as it stands now, it's different, but the principle's the same. Those small units. No, I don't think. Yeah, I think there's still going to be plenty of room for kill teams. Maybe we'll see expansion of Armageddon. We saw a rumor earlier today with scenery that looks like a scenery expansion for Armageddon, doesn't it? So I think they're going to keep pushing that, and the book is out this weekend as well. So maybe that's where you'll see the kill team game go into sort of the Armageddon rules. But even so, they've designed this new game, and as we know from Age of Sigmar, it scales well. You couldn't take a minimum 40k army, you know, anything below 750 points, and almost all codexes became non-functioning. Whereas Age of Sigmar, like, you know, I think you can really scale it right down and still have a fun game. So I don't see why that doesn't apply to kill teams. It's just obviously kill teams introduce that minimum unit size, don't they? Each model becomes a unit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll see. I think they'll keep it because I think they'll know that's exciting stuff for people. Or Armageddon will replace it. It's 50-50.
I just read the next comment from Turrican. Phil's Change Management Corner, that's going to be the title of the series, will be premium content. I think you could definitely do the premium version of that on the website, couldn't you, Phil? For anybody wanting to...
You're trying to turn my day job into my night job. I'm not sure I want to do that.
You love it, really.
That's
why you started talking about it on the show. What else have we got? I've got Staffordshire. Let's get down to that one in a moment. Ryan Benfield's put, my God, Gunline looks like it's just going to move forwards. Just going to move/push forwards now, as opposed to staying back. Yeah, we're going to see armies moving around the board. Yep. Red Cuffs has put, I have always wanted to be able to shoot at an enemy unit that is in close combat with a friendly unit. Any misses are re-rolled against your friendly unit in the CC. I like the idea of that. I like the idea of scattering with weapons. You can't do it anymore, but in the past, if you played guard and you accidentally scattered into your own combat and killed your own men, God forbid, stuff died. It was quite entertaining to see things just get blown up with friendly fire.
I'm not sure whether it's been on what's released, but definitely on the Twitter feed, the shooting into combat is not in. So you're not going to be able to do that, which, I mean, obviously then that retreat mechanic becomes obvious. So I think they have officially mentioned it now, because it's the retreat that enables you to shoot the unit. But it is. I like the idea, because there would be some commanders and some armies, which, you know what, that's an orc command trait, surely. You just open up on everybody. So maybe
we'll see it in command points and things like that. I was going to ask Mike. Mike about the next bit. The next question, which was from Brad Lever, do we think fleet will equate to run and charge? What do you think about that, Mike? Because you obviously do get fleet quite a bit in your army, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of the standard. Well, most of the Eldar army has it. I think it's only really the big stuff that doesn't. Well, if it follows the Age of Sigmar sort of things, then with the keywords and stuff like that, there's a good chance that they may have that as a special ability. Because that fleet was, you could re-roll a lot of your stuff. It's been a while since I've played 40k. You're gonna have to tell me here, Phil, because it's been a while.
I like our filter. It doesn't want to talk all of a sudden when it's actually out an actual rule. Fleet was.
I didn't want to make any noise on it while I was trying to get the plasma obliterator to resemble a model.
Phil, what's fleet? It's rerolls. You can reroll one or both of your dice for charges, and I think you also get it for moving through difficult or dangerous terrain. I hate plastic glue, so I use super glue. Is that right?
Yes,
Phil? Yeah.
That is the fleet roll. Yes. So yes. How will it equate? Who knows? I mean, it's again, maybe that's just all being replaced by different movement rules. Because if we've not seen the Eldar move yet, but we know that Marines are 6. There was lots of weird references to 7 inches in the Eldar book that came out recently, the Triumphant book. I'm trying to remember the name of it, The Rise of the Primarch. So there was a bunch of references, wasn't there, in that, and the one before about Eldar having 7-inch effects. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Eldar standard move as 7.
Okay.
In which case, doesn't fleet
fast.
give you too much? Yeah, fleet will give you too much if you add run to that as well.
Maybe they can't run, but they get to charge.
Who knows?
They get to shoot and I don't know. What else we got? Corin has said, only in Staffordshire we'll try and sort out coming down for a game of Sigmar in the not too distant future. That would be good. We're definitely sorting out an area where we can play games with everybody. We've obviously got the local Games Workshop store. There is a local independent store, but we're hoping to have our new place sorted soon, aren't we, Phil?
Yes, absolutely.
Batrep Studio, which is
only
made doable by having the premium subscribers on our website, and we just want to keep thanking them for that, because it's the only way that we can get that made, really, isn't it? Obviously, there's been a lot of time and money put into Wargaming Online from ourselves.
Yeah.
But, the premium members on our website is the only way that we ask for anything back, really. And we were talking earlier about Kablam's making multiple accounts to make multiple subscriptions so that it could help us out, which is just incredible. Because we haven't asked for things like donations or Patreon or anything like that. We just do a flat premium membership, and there's still people out there that are wanting to help us out and pay more than we're offering a subscription.
Well, we posted a video up on Premium last night, didn't we, where we talked through our plans for the future, and we did a little bit on YouTube as well, but maybe seeing as that we've mentioned it now, yes, that is the next step for us. Given the response we've had to the Premium subscribers, it's been absolutely brilliant, and we're really pleased, and it's shown that people are interested in that, so we feel a lot more confident to move forward to kind of the next stage for us, which is a dedicated Battle Report studio. So we're going to be able to produce more content, even better quality. We've got at least a dozen ideas about how we can improve our Battle Reports. So we've had great feedback, and from what we've done already, but we've got a bunch of other ideas that we're going to be able to try out and kind of get the community involved on when we're in the new studio space. So it's really amazing. So thank you very much to everybody, because that's just really incredibly brilliant.
I was just about to say something else as well, and I forgot while you were talking. I didn't want to interrupt.
Painting water effects between cobbles on big round base is making me go blind. Come on, Kablams, you can do it. Just on that point, of course, there's a couple of people said they're not too far away, and that's the thing. We will want to be doing battle reports with people from the community as well, definitely.
Yeah.
Because that gives our viewers a broader army base, and they get to see some new faces, and they get to see some fun, and hopefully we'll learn a bunch of stuff from everybody out there as well. So thank you, and one and all. And we will, as soon as we're in a place where we feel we can do that, we'll definitely be shouty and loud about it, and arrange some kind of booking system.
Well, the other thing is as well, like this sort of thing on a Friday, this is probably the most live thing that we'll do, isn't it? It is literally, we're just going to sit and build things and chat while everybody joins us. Our other stuff, we try and do a little bit more of the editing behind the scenes stuff and cut out the nonsense that we talk in between. So that's what this stuff is for. This is just to let our hair down, and Phil lets his beard down and have a bit of a rest. And we just chat to the community on a Friday night. We also have time to drop out from Sean Dewitt. Thanks for the warm welcome and interaction. No problem. I think we're going to drop out fairly soon, like we keep saying, but we'll just go through the last bunch of comments. What do you guys think about, this is from Turrican, think about all models running on a D6 resort? Seems the one mistake made to me. So that's the bravery equivalent into the leadership. I quite like it.
I mean, on average, that's going to add sort of 3.5 inch to the move, isn't it? So it all depends on how variable the move stat's going to be for me on that one.
What are you on about?
You, Sam?
Oh, running on a D6. I'm thinking, I did it a different way, man. I thought you meant running away in combat, dying. You know, the leadership change they were talking about.
Right, okay.
I'm
not quite sure.
I don't think running a D6 is a problem. I think the base movement of a unit will be quite defining on its speed, and the D6 is that added chance. I think an Eldar movement of 6 or 7 or something, and then adding another D6, I don't have a problem with that. It's quite, you can't, it's that reaction tactic side of things again. You can't just plan things a certain distance away. You can have really good runs and really rubbish runs. Madhead John, talking of kill teams, do you think this will affect Deathwatch? Coming back into 40k after a long time off, I went for Deathwatch. I think everything is going to be affected by this new change, John. I think every single army is going to get updated, tweaked, and it's going to be worked for the new edition. So I think whichever army you're playing, or whichever army you want to play for 8th edition, it will work and it will be viable as a choice. I think that's the greatest thing about the reset, as it is, of a new edition of 40k, and the way that they're doing this is that everything in their range will be a viable choice now. And I think, Mike, you're still sticking to Eldar, aren't you? Although you are thinking about doing Ultramarines for the new edition.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at doing Marines. I'll always have the Eldar army. I think there'll always be something. But I just thought with the new edition coming, we all thought this, didn't we? With the new edition coming, it may be worth us looking at doing some new armies. Yeah,
and we're going to do a Tale of Warlords for the channel as well, and we're going to get as many people involved as possible. But we're going to do probably 4 to 6 people, which can commit to an update every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks? Yes, every 2 weeks, and then every week we'll have 3 or 2 of the people having their update on the channel, and it's going to be good to see a progression from the beginning of an edition with a brand new army up until playing games with them at the studio, and I think that's what we're looking forward to doing. It unfortunately, I think it has to be people local to Warwickshire, because we're going to get them on the rotational stands and take videos and things as well, but we'll see what we can do. Let's do the last bunch. There's still loads of comments going. Is it just me that has a bunch of unbuilt models waiting for 8th edition to build them? No. I think everybody's got it. No. I think I'm going to go out and buy a bunch of models and then wait for 8th and then build them then.
I've just stubbed my toe on a Phantom Titan.
Oh, God. You and that Phantom
Titan. I really want to build that.
Mahanika, evening, chaps. Hope you're all having a great night. It is great. I am hungry, actually. I've not eaten tonight. Rachel was supposed to be home about an hour ago and she hasn't come home, so I need to ring to make sure she's okay. Steve's put, but before that we'll go through comments. Steve's put, can't wait for my first bat rep. My death are hungry. Yep, another local person that can play as well, so Steve will definitely get a battle report soon. John Booth, I promise I will be polite if we get a game. I think with John especially, we're going to have to do a lot of editing on a language basis, because we try and be a family-friendly channel. We don't want swearing on our channel, so if you have a younger audience that would want to watch, you can watch it without worrying about swearing. So John would definitely get a game in with you. It will be a great laugh, but there may be a lot of beeping or a lot of editing.
We should mention we've mentioned John. You haven't just assumed that about him. We have met him, haven't we?
Yeah. We've what is it? We say met him. I'd say experienced is another word. My language just opened up a whole new level. It was great. Geronimo would have loved to see an Infinity-style move mechanic where each model has two values, one being a normal move and the second being a run. It adds a lot more granularity. Yeah, that could have been something they implemented. I'm not sure they're going to go with it now, though, because they've kind of gone ahead with it. Maybe they tested it in the play testing and decided that the D6 worked better. Maybe they didn't. I'm not sure. We'll have to. That's another question for them, really. Turrican's confirming no, I'm talking about running, not a morale check. That's just me reading wrong. And what else have we got? Running should be like in Necromunda, double move. Yeah, that makes sense as well. I think there's plenty of options they could have done with running, and I don't know whether they picked the right one. We'll have to see. The procrastinating painter. How about a New Zealand correspondent for 8th? We've got everybody from everywhere, haven't we, tonight? All across the globe.
I think that's a possible thing. Maybe we need to talk at some point. I mentioned earlier the first tranche, if you like, of the people coming onto premium has enabled us to look for a dedicated back report space, which is brilliant. So we're going to get the studio set up for that. And then Sam mentioned in certainly the premium video, investing in the website a bit, and we've got some ideas about the website and how we could do some outreach programs for people who want to provide content. So let's talk on that one and watch the space as well, because we do, as we've said all along, want to be inclusive, not exclusive. So we want to bring as many people along, on Wargamer Online as possible. So let's keep talking. I think it's a good idea. I want to know what people are playing down in New Zealand and how they're responding to it. Why not? And I want to go there as well, and we could use that as an excuse somehow.
Yeah, we'll go. That's fine. If you guys have access to any Slave to Darkness AOS armies, I would love to see Batrets with them. I just started my own. We've got a local guy, Rich, who definitely has he's got a massive Chaos army, so he's more than happy to play Age of Sigmar. We're due to have a game. He used to come down to the shop quite a bit when I was there, and he's a great guy to play games against, so I'm really excited to play against him again. So that's definitely one person. And I think we're going to have some more Chaos models anyway. I've definitely got some lying around to build. We're going to try and do a bunch of 1,000-point Age of Sigmar armies, 1,000-point 40k armies. So at least in the studio, we're going to have a stock amount of armies to choose from. So if people come down to play a game, they can say what they'd rather go against, or they could try, if they've never played against a new army, they can pick what they're going to be playing against. But it's just taking us time to do all the editing and paint everything as well. It's just taking time. Time is the biggest bane at the moment, I think we've found, especially for myself, because I'm trying to do everything all at once, which means I don't have much time with Rachel and I don't have much sleep. However, hashtag for the channel, and we'll just keep going forwards and
for the channel, Sam.
For the channel, hopefully it'll work. John's just put lol. I wonder if they release 8th in May. I still think they're going to release it in May. A lot of people have said June, but I'm crossing my fingers for May. I think it's either going to be, pre-order on the 6th of May or the week after. That's my gut feeling. We'll see though. John's put love you guys. Thank you. I'm loving that model. Sam looks awesome. It is nice. I mean, I've managed to build 2 models tonight. That's quite decent for me. Nice model though, absolutely beautiful. I don't think I'm going to pronounce this right. Saharia, new to the channel. Will you be doing any larger Sigmar and 40k bat reports? We will be. I think the larger ones will be when we've got like Phil and Mike have both got large Eldar armies, and what we don't want to do on the channel is have too many of the same battle reports or the same armies appearing in battle reports. So initially we've got to build a good amount of 1,000-point armies to start with, and then we can expand those armies to 2,000 and 3,000 depending on popularity.
We'll definitely do some bigger games though in between as well. I mean, what's going to be interesting is what constitutes as a large 40k battle. That they're saying they're making the game faster. If we can do 1,500 points in 90 minutes, then I think we're going to be seeing some of the big Eldar stuff come out, and some of Jack's big Astra Militarum stuff, stuff hit the game.
There's definitely a lot of local
heavy hitting there as well. So
yeah. Saharia, you pronounced it spot on for the first time in my life. Well, that's good. I normally get everything wrong. Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's pretty much June. Yeah, it probably is June. I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that it's May, because I could... Actually, you know what? If it was June, that would be better for me, because I can get more stuff done before then. I've got all of this Warhammer Quest to build and paint, and I would like a bit of a delay on it. Green Stuff Games has just joined. Welcome, Green Stuff Games. Thank you for joining us. Slowwitch. June the 17th, I've just read, yeah. Turrican's 3rd of June is practically... There's so many different dates being chucked around. We're going to see what happens. Brandon Struthers, just first
the theory behind June is it pushes GW into their new financial year. So they'll want to see this wonderfully healthy spike of revenue at the start of a new financial year, which makes it's logical. The confusion was, and the reason we debated about an earlier date and that they'd surprise everyone, is it just feels like Games Workshop put their business on hold. But, you know, maybe this is also part of the hashtag New Games Workshop, as in they don't mind taking a financial hit towards the end of the year in terms of 40k, because Sigmar's storming along quite happily, and they didn't want to be in a situation where they had a lot of angry people who bought new 40k releases only to find out everything was changing.
True, yeah.
So maybe they're giving us all a longer period to adjust. It just didn't make a lot of sense financially, but hashtag New Games Workshop.
Hashtag for Games Workshop. So we've got, I think 17th of June. A lot of people are saying that. So let's hope it is 17th of June for my sake, so I can get stuff done. I'm going to go back to the comment. Brandon Struther said, first time catching you guys live, just getting into the hobby and enjoying the fresh content. Thank you for joining. We are enjoying creating content. So we're glad that people are enjoying it. 1850 seems to be the default tournament size. This is Billy No Mates on most channels. That seems popular. Yes, currently 1850 is the standard tournament size. I think definitely in America, and most UK tournaments definitely use that as well. We'll see what it's going to change to. It might stay at 1850. It might go to 2000. Whatever it is, I think we're going to get to that point with our armies, though. Whichever the standard sort of tournament points list will be, that will be what we're going to aim for all of our armies. We've just got to start somewhere, and I think 1,000 point is a good starting point, and we can bump it up after that. A lot of the time I'll do 2,000 or 3,000 points because I like the army, but I'm just saying that I'd like to get more of a variety of stuff for us to film. Don't you think, Mike and Phil?
Indeed. See, the problem I have with the bigger armies is just because how long it takes me to paint. See, I'd like to have massive armies, but it's getting around to painting it all just because of how I tend to paint everything.
Yeah. This is the thing that Ashley Perkins has just said. They've claimed to release info every day until launch, and people think June. That's the main thing that I thought. I mean, maybe they've got a lot of information to release. Maybe it's going to get to mid-May and they're going to start releasing a unit profile a day because they've run out of content. They'll say, and today Eldrad's profile is this, and then the next day it'll be a Chaos Terminator or something.
June definitely seems like a long time to wait if they're going to be releasing information every day.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Not if we're waiting for you to paint your army, Mike. Not if we're waiting for you to paint your army. I've got 6,000 points of painted Tyranids that are just waiting to nom you to pieces.
There you go. Turrican's 3rd is pre-order, 17th is release. Okay, so what else have we got? Kablams, I've given up for now. We'll post some pictures of the bases after this on your community page for CNC. Well, you've done more than me, Kablams. I've done 2 models, so congratulations, and I'm definitely going to look forward to seeing your models. If anybody isn't already on the Facebook group, we're getting more and more on a daily basis. Just go onto Facebook, search in the bar at the top, and I think you put in Wargamer or Wargamer Online, all one word, and then a space, community, and it will come up with our group. Request to join, we'll accept you into the group, and you can post up pictures, you can see what everybody else is working on as well, and it's just a good place to chat in between our live chats and all our other content. Probably going to round this up now.
And you get notification of when we're going on live and stuff. I just want to loop back to John Booth saying 30k reports ? Because we haven't mentioned them. And that's a yes. You've got 30k army, haven't you? And there's Mr.
Small
Pink's got
1,000 point.
army.
Yeah, I want to go.
But I'm just going to smash out 1,000 Suns. I was shopping at Salute, and I have some great models. So just waiting for Magnus.
Well, I've got the word bearer stuff to get me up to 2,000 point, and then I've got a 3,000 point Space Wolf army pretty much almost done. I just need to get it all, the last few units built up, and then I'll have 3,000 points of Space Wolves, all infantry, no transport. So it's going to be amazing how many games I lose. And then the word bearers is 2,000 points, which is going to be quite cool. All the nice Forge World models, which I'm excited to use. Mike needs a 30k army, however, so we're going to sort him out some bits as well because he's got some models already, and we're going to see what else he needs to get a 30k army up and going because we're just dumping everything on him and saying, get these done.
Yeah. Mike, do you like Mechanicum?
No.
Because we've got a lot of 30k Mechanicum in a cupboard here as well, so maybe that's one way. I'll just do that. I'll just do that. Mechanicum and Magnum.
Okay, let's round this up. So thank you to everyone who's liked this video. Thank you to everyone who has watched this video and joined us for this madness again on a Friday evening. Thank you to Mike for joining me from the beginning.
It's all right.
Thank you for Phil joining us halfway through and then taking a brilliant job of taking hold and control of the channel. Thank you to everybody.
That's okay, Sam.
Who has commented in the chat. And I mean, it's been a much longer one. I think that's because we've been chatting to everyone, but that's the idea of this, so don't worry about it. I'm definitely not worried. Thank you to everybody who has been onto the website, wargameronline.com, made a free account, and even more to all of those people who have done premium subscriptions, because that is, as we keep saying, we don't want to keep going on about sales, but the premium account is the thing that supports us. It's $2.99 a month, and it keeps us doing what we are doing. We're going to continue to release daily videos as best we can. Tomorrow we're going to have the unboxing of... what was it? Wild West Exodus that me and Mike did, and we're in the desert. We've got it was a really hot day. I'm a little bit red, so that's coming out tomorrow. And then on Sunday we've got a battle report. Me and Mike did a Zone Mortalis game a few weeks ago, which we've only just got around to editing. So the audio is a little bit off. It's not up to the same level as our more recent stuff. However, we're just going to get that one up, and then we're going to start filming more Age of Sigmar games, and then we're going to switch over to 40k when that's released. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. How many days will it take for Phil to paint his Magnus army? 1 day, maybe 2.
3.
3, okay.
I've got Magnus to do.
Okay. Right, thank you everyone for watching. It's been wonderful and a pleasure as always. Rachel's just got in from where she's been. Don't know where she's gone. Hopefully with some food. And we will see you all tomorrow or Sunday. Sunday with Sean for our live chat. And if not, all of our content will be released daily. So we'll see you later.
Bye all.
See ya.
Bye.